de retour. Bon, cette fois-ci, je vais peut-être enfin pouvoir réagir avec la vidéo en entier, mais encore une fois, je sais même pas si je vais la poster sur YouTube, donc on verra. Alors, du coup, épisode 6, parce que lors de la vidéo précédente, on s'était arrêté à l'épisode 5, coquille. En fait, ça représente à chaque fois un plat, en fait. Entrée, coquille, rôti, le truc du trou normand aussi. Voilà. Je lance. J'espère qu'au niveau du son, ça va aller, parce que ça ne coupe pas quand même. Je pense que ça va aller. Alors, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Alienate me from Jack Crawford?
It's difficult to lie still and fear going to sleep when it's there to think about.
Bah en fait c'est générique, je devrais quand même le passer.
Lung cancer.
When were you going to tell me?
Something different.
But you've always been a little different.
It's getting harder and harder to make myself look.
I'm not going to tell you what you ought to do.
I don't know how much longer I can be all that useful to you, Jack.
Really? The last 3 we had, you cost.
You can arrest me for writing an article.
You don't write another word about Will Graham, and I won't have to.
Au pire, je referai un direct, mais je referai comme la dernière fois, je referai en mode diaporama. Il y a du soleil là. Il se passe. Il y a une espèce de soleil qui m'atterrit sur les yeux. C'est énorme. Ah, Dr. Shilton, c'est ça. Ah bah c'est lui qui va... merde, comment on dit ça? Ah, qui va le trucider aussi. Il va se réveiller. Et puis il va tuer la patiente. Sauf c'est une vidéo d'essai, hein, une vidéo réaction. J'espère qu'au niveau de la voix, j'espère qu'on m'entend. Il va se réveiller. Ouais, sa main il bouge. Tu vas te faire tuer. Bon, puis comme ça, je verrai si je la posterai sur YouTube. Si ça passe pas, ça passe pas. Tant pis, hein. Voilà, faudra que je fasse des coupes à chaque fois. C'est compliqué quand même.
Fact-checking for Freddie Lounge.
Who's fact-checking for me?
I was still a little nervous going into these places.
Why's that?
Très compliqué.
They won't let me out.
Don't worry, I won't leave you here.
And not today.
Dr. Bloom just called me about you, Mr. Graham. Or should I call you Dr. Graham?
No, I'm not a doctor.
You're not
Donc
a
ça, c'est l'hôpital psychiatrique. Hein.
Mr. Graham teaches at the academy.
Ah, a teacher. Please, gentlemen, take a seat.
Thank you.
Hôpital psychiatrique.
Dr. Chilton, we're going to need to see the crime scene while it's still relatively undisturbed.
I assure you, for something so disturbing, it is quite undisturbed.
Why was a nurse left alone with a prisoner in a high-security psychiatric hospital?
For 2 years since he was brought here, Gideon behaved perfectly and gave every appearance of cooperating with attempts at therapy. As dictated by our present administrator, security around him was slightly relaxed. I cannot help feeling responsible myself for what happened. He sat directly across from me, and I had no idea what he was hiding. And now one of our staff is dead.
I understand, Doctor. Mr. Graham's going to need to see the crime scene with as much privacy as you can provide.
Oh, yes, that thing you do. You're quite the topic of conversation in the psychiatric circles, Mr. Graham.
Am I?
Yes. A unique cocktail of personality disorders and neuroses that make you a highly skilled profiler.
He's not here to be analyzed.
Perhaps he should be. We are woefully short of material on your sort of thing, Mr. Graham. Would you mind speaking to some of the staff?
Doctor.
No.
Non, j'ai pas envie de te parler.
Maybe a special visit.
Thank you, Dr. Chilton. I like
Laisse,
the crime
laisse
scene.
Willy tranquille.
So, Gideon was restrained.
Handcuffed. He concealed a fork.
Ah là, je suis beaucoup plus à l'aise pour parler. Là,
Where is he now?
je pense que je vais être beaucoup plus à l'aise. Étant donné que c'est en off. Là, je peux faire absolument tout ce que je veux. Tout ce que je dis, tout ce que je veux. Ah, j'ai hâte de regarder la rediffusion. Mais encore une fois, je sais même pas si j'ai à poster sur YouTube. À mon avis, ça va pas passer.
Dr. Chilton consulted on the case.
À mon avis, ça va être compliqué. Moi, j'aurais fait ma petite réaction de mon côté. Ça m'aura fait un exercice. Ça m'aura fait un bon exercice d'élocution. Ah oui, ça je me rappelle. Ça c'est compliqué. Ah, il a les yeux complètement éclatés. Ça doit faire mal. Ça doit faire mal. Ah, je vais peut-être passer le générique par contre. Est-ce que je peux passer le générique? Passe-moi le générique. J'espère qu'au niveau de la voix ça va. J'espère qu'on va m'entendre quand même. Il n'y a pas de raison. Donc là effectivement il se met dans la peau de Gaiden, hein, puisqu'il retranscrit tout ce qu'il voit. Je crois que c'est là où il va lui... Ah, il va lui planter les yeux, là. Il va lui mettre ses... Il va lui éclater les yeux. Ça doit faire mal. Vite! Fais pas ça, Willy! Fais pas ça! Tu vas trop loin, Willy! Tu vas trop loin! Mais elle est trop loin. Je me demande si c'est possible de faire ça quand même, d'éclater les yeux de la personne. C'est violent, hein. Très violent. Elle a plus d'œil. Elle arrive quand même à romper, mais elle a plus d'œil. Pleure pas, Willy. Mon petit Willy. Bon, je vais arrêter avec ça. Je vais arrêter avec ça. Ah, ça se voit que je suis beaucoup plus à l'aise pour parler.
As far as we know, it's been over 2 years since the Chesapeake Ripper kill.
That's correct.
When was Gideon admitted?
Non, effectivement, ça aurait pas été possible de faire ça en direct. Enfin. Ou alors je l'aurais fait sur Twitch, mais il faut que je crée une chaîne Twitch. Simplement pour ça.
Sorry to pull you out of class. There's nothing wrong.
Je vois pas l'intérêt.
No reason to be nervous.
Ah oui, ça c'est la...
Your instructors tell me that you are in the top 10%.
C'est l'inspectrice, ça.
You're gonna have to stop correcting me if we're gonna get along, lass.
L'inspectrice, qu'est-ce que je dis?
You wrote me a letter when you qualified for the academy.
Mais c'est qui, en fait?
I wasn't sure you got it, and you never replied.
Never do. Odds are against
Oui, c'est une autre agente, c'est une autre... qui a le même don que Will, peut-être.
In your letter,
je crois.
you said you wanted to work for me in the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program.
Yes, sir.
There might be an opportunity. I'm assuming that you're familiar with the Chesapeake Ripper.
Yes.
The Ripper's very hot right now. Killed his last 2 victims in 6 days. There'll be at least one more body, and then nothing for months.
They say he's a true sociopath.
What do you say?
I say they don't know what else to label him. He has some of the characteristics of what they call a sociopath. No remorse or guilt at all. He won't have any of the other marks. He won't be a drifter. He'll have no history of trouble with the law. He'll be hard to catch.
I'm assigning you to the Chesapeake Ripper Task Force. You're going to work directly under me.
I'm grateful for the opportunity, Agent Crawford. But I can't help wondering, why me?
You have a forensics fellowship, 6 years of law enforcement, degree in psychology, doctorate in criminology. And what I don't have are enough warm bodies. So, you're gonna need your full attention on this.
Yes, sir.
Volume of Abel Gideon's mail is becoming a nuisance. Sometimes I feel like his secretary rather than his keeper.
Any specific correspondences that stood out from the other?
Comment il
Mostly
s'appelle
researchers
cette
or
dame? Ah, mais je crois que
PhD
c'est
candidates
Alana
requesting
Bloom.
interviews.
Attends,
A
c'est
scattered
c'est
dozen
pas
lonely
elle?
hearts
Alana
seeking
Bloom.
his hand in marriage.
He butchered his last wife and her family on Thanksgiving.
Je crois qu'elle
There's no
s'appelle
accounting for
comme
taste
ça.
or intelligence.
Murdering his wife was impulsive. The Chesapeake Ripper is methodical, meticulous. That's why he's so hard to catch.
That was so hard to catch. Will you be conducting a joint interview?
Separate. Compare and contrast.
I know you're anxious to get on with it. You have talked to Gideon before, for some length of time.
Well, I saw him mainly in court. I wrote an article about him in the Journal of Criminal Psychology.
He is very familiar with you. He's given you a lot of thought.
You had some sessions with him?
Yes, 2. A couple years ago when he was first institutionalized.
I've read your notes, of course. They were more or less helpful, as I conducted my own interviews with Dr. Gideon over the years.
Well, I'm glad I was helpful.
More or less.
I'll go first.
C'est là où elle va interroger Gaydon, je crois. C'est ça. Il y a plein de psychopathes ici, hein. Faut faire attention. C'est marrant, mais cet acteur, il me fait tellement penser à Jack Black. Mais en plus psychopathe.
Met a lot of psychiatrists in the last 2 years. It's hard to forget one so sublime.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Gideon. I won't waste it. Shall we begin?
Dr. Bloom, what is this to be? I was caught red-handed. I mean, literally. There's no mystery as to who done it. I did it.
The mystery is whether you are who you say you are. Or not.
Never liked being called the Chesapeake Ripper. Maybe something with a little more wit.
Is that why you didn't take credit for the Ripper murders before now?
Just watching the goose chase on the box seats.
2 years of goose chasing. You must be a very patient man.
You're just gonna run the psychopathic checklist here? I have had my personality inventoried by the Minnesota multiphasic.
Would you prefer a Rorschach test?
If you're gonna show me those pictures, maybe you should put a blood pressure cuff to my genitals. I find it gives a much truer gauge of reaction.
Partie génitale, quand même.
What effect were you hoping to have by killing the night nurse?
The effect
Ah,
I
par
was
contre, je
hoping to
n'arrête pas de
have
renifler, ça doit
was
être
her
désagréable.
death. Mission accomplished.
Brutalization of the body was done posthumously.
Ah, mais ça se voit que je suis beaucoup plus à
Chesapeake
l'aise pour
Ripper usually
parler.
does that sort of thing during.
Là, j'ai pas à me
not
soucier
after.
de si la vidéo va couper ou pas. Là,
I do not have to
je
convince
peux
you
faire ce que je veux.
that I am the Chesapeake Ripper.
Faut juste que je parle, que
Seems
je parle
what you need to
quand
do.
je réagis, effectivement. Quand il y a quelque chose.
Certainly what somebody needs.
Mon petit Hannibal!
Jack, come in.
Je vais peut-être augmenter le son aussi, parce que je trouve que c'est pas assez fort. Quoique.
I'm sorry. I was just,
In the neighborhood.
yeah, something like that.
How's Mrs. Crawford?
Yeah, that's why I was in the neighborhood. She's fine. But she tells me that she's fine, and she tells me when she's not.
You expect me to tell you more?
Look, Bella's at a NATO conference. I can't talk to her. She's working. I doubt I could talk to her if she was here.
About her condition.
Yeah, about her cancer, about her dying.
Ah
She
bah
doesn't
oui,
want to
de
talk
son
to me
cancer,
about
bah
it.
oui, effectivement.
I'm prohibited from talking about it, doctor-patient confidentiality.
You talk to me about Will Graham.
Well, Graham is not officially my patient. We have conversations.
What do you consider this?
Desperate coping.
You don't think I have a right to know what's happening with my wife?
You have every right to know what's happening, but not for me.
Well, I'm not just going to stand outside my marriage and watch
Secret
this happen.
professionnel.
If that's what she wants, too bad. She married the wrong guy for that.
I'll offer one insight. She doesn't think she married the wrong guy.
I can't stop thinking about when my wife is going to die. I look at her side of the bed and I think, is she going to die there?
Mais non, elle va pas mourir.
I can't
Elle
stop
va
thinking
mourir
about
dans la
it.
saison
I
3,
can't
mais
stop.
là, elle ne va pas mourir.
You're dreading the loss of your wife.
Yes. And I'm thinking about other losses too.
What other losses are you dreading? Jack, you can't save her. She won't let you. The cancer won't let you. Who else couldn't you save?
Where is everyone?
It's just you and me for the time being. Take a look around here.
Et donc,
Tell me what you see.
forcément, il va repenser à l'enquêtrice. Là, je crois qu'elle se fait tuer par Hannibal, juste. À coup de lapin, on va dire ça.
He did it all here.
C'est en fait, ça fait tellement bizarre d'être pas en direct parce que forcément, il y a personne.
Do you
Il y a
think he was
personne qui
unconscious when the
réagit.
Ripper
Je fais
did
ma
the
petite
ripping?
vidéo
No, he'd run
tranquille
away.
dans mon coin, ça fait bizarre.
Organs were removed. Not all of them. He was choosy. He took the liver, thymus, but left the heart.
What's he doing with the organs?
Par contre, au niveau des preuves, là, ils ont mis 1, 2, 3, je sais pas combien de preuves, il y a 13 preuves, mais toutes les preuves, ils les ont
Why do you
mis
say
sur
that?
le corps. Ça n'a pas de sens.
Psychopaths are attracted to surgical fields. They offer power.
Vous avez vu tous les noms qu'il y a sur le corps,
ability to make
c'est...
objective clinical decisions without feeling.
White male? 40s? 50s?
I don't know that he's white. He's exotic somehow. Which is why you're gonna catch him.
I'm gonna catch him.
We call you the guru. You have a
Gourou.
peculiar cleverness.
Sacré gourou.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should. You'll probably spot him before anybody else.
Or you will. Now I want you to take a look at this.
There's no detectable consistency with the Ripper victims. He doesn't hunt exclusively within his own ethnic group. He's killed all creeds, colors, men and women.
She has the exact same wound pattern as the last known victim of the Chesapeake Ripper. I mean, exact.
We never found a body for his last known victim.
Ah, je crois que c'est dans cet épisode
I see the Ripper, but I don't.
où Jack va recevoir un appel téléphonique
We never made the wound patterns for any of the
de
Ripper's
Myriam,
victims
justement,
public.
de la dame,
Maybe he is the Ripper.
la
I
fille
don't
du
know.
FBI
But
du
if he's a
flashback.
plagiarist,
Il va
the
recevoir
real
un appel.
Chesapeake Ripper is gonna
Et en fait, à chaque fois, ça va être tout le temps le même appel.
Everybody knows it.
Donc forcément, on se doute que c'est... Ah bah c'est justement ça, c'est justement là. Mais on se doute que c'est... que c'est un fake, parce que c'est tout le temps la même réplique, la même voix. Justement, c'est ça.
Jack, it's Miriam.
C'est ça, c'est Myriam.
I don't know where I am. I can't say anything.
Miriam?
I was so wrong. I was so wrong.
Miriam?
Please, Jack. Please.
Sauf que là, ça va être répété en boucle et... On se doute que c'est...
I'm
que c'est
hooked
un
into every
appel
carrier database and
enregistré.
telephone provider in the United States. Nothing.
Look again.
I did my agains. And my again and again and agains. I can't find any electronic trace of any call made to your home at 2:46 a.m.
I am telling you that the phone rang.
Wake your wife up.
I was alone.
Whoever made that call could have made it from that little box outside your house or a
était
junction
seul.
in your neighborhood. Either way, there would be no trace signal to track.
You're sure it was Miriam Lass?
It was Miriam.
I haven't heard her voice in 2 years, Jack.
You gonna continue to question me on this, Z? If so, maybe I should ask you to leave the room while it's still safe for you to be here. The Chesapeake Ripper recorded Miriam Lass 2 years ago as he was killing her. Last night, he called my house at 2:46 a.m. He played that recording for me.
Well, then we know the Chesapeake Ripper is not Dr. Gideon, because we know the call wasn't made from the Baltimore State Hospital for the Criminally Insane.
That we would have been able to trace.
Are you certain it was a recording? Jack, you said yourself there's no body.
Miriam Lass is dead. The Chesapeake Ripper is making it very clear that someone is plagiarizing his work.
It was 2:46 in the morning, Jack. You're in a deep sleep. You're roused. You're disoriented. You might not even know you're still asleep.
I know when I'm awake.
Compliqué, hein. Compliqué, les enquêtes criminelles. Ah, bah c'est pas là où il voit le cerf. Je crois que c'est ça. Ah oui. Oh là! Ah bah oui, il fait des grandes cornes.
Well, you look like you were dreaming.
I was thinking about something else.
Well, here's something for you to think about. We have a direct way of communicating with the Chesapeake Ripper, and we'd like to see if we can push him.
Push him toward what?
We might be able to influence him to become visible.
If we can enrage him.
To what purpose, Jack? I don't see what you're asking.
Do you think there's a way to push the Chesapeake Ripper and focus his attention?
But he's already focused on Gideon as his adversary. Don't fool around.
Gideon is just a tabloid rumor right now. We think we need to make him the truth.
You might push the Ripper to kill again, just to prove he isn't in a hospital for the criminally insane.
I have to push, Will.
Are you thinking about getting into bed with Freddie Lowndes?
You yourself know it's the best way to bait the real Chesapeake Ripper.
Morning, Agent Crawford. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, la journaliste.
This
Elle est
is
encore là.
Dr. Alana Bloom. She's one of our psychiatric consultants. I believe you know Will Graham.
Mr. Graham, so good to see you.
Inspecteur Willy. Chaque fois, je vais lui dire.
Miss Lowndes, you have all the qualities of a good reporter. You
Pas
have
Monsieur Graham,
intelligence,
c'est
guts,
Inspecteur Willy.
a good eye. So how is it that you wind up where you ended up?
Where I wound up being criminal justice journalism.
Criminal justice journalism being a euphemism for tabloid reporting.
You ran an unconfirmed story about the Chesapeake Ripper. What I want is for you to confirm it.
An exclusive story would be a coup.
Yes, it would. And you would get the satisfaction of seeing the Los Angeles Times, the sanctified Washington Post, and even the holy New York Times run copyrighted material under your byline with a picture credit.
What's against you, and by association us, is that your brand of journalism is obnoxious and therefore disliked.
Yes, that is an obstacle. Tried to get an interview with Dr. Gideon. I was denied. Evidently some trouble with my euphemism.
I'm friendly with the new chief of staff. I can get you an interview.
Not to snap bubblegum and crack wise, but what's my angle? Is he the Chesapeake Ripper, or do you just want me to tell everybody that he is?
He could be. And certain personalities are attracted to certain professions.
Do you know what profession psychopaths disproportionately gravitate to?
CEOs, lawyers, the clergy.
Number 5 on the list is surgeons.
I know the list.
And then you know what number 6 is.
Journalists. Know what number 7 is, Mr. Graham?
Law enforcement.
Here we are. A bunch of psychopaths helping each other out.
donc elle a essayé de l'interviewer, c'est ça? Ah, ça se voit que je suis beaucoup plus à l'aise. Bon, effectivement, je couperai les passages où je parle pas, mais...
Dr. Gideon.
Encore, je sais même pas si
I'm
ça
Freddie
passe.
Lowndes. May I call you Dr. Gideon? Or do you prefer the Chesapeake Ripper? His name is Dr. Abel Gideon, and strong evidence has surfaced that he's far more than a mild-mannered surgeon
Ah, bah,
who
et puis
cruelly
oui,
murdered his
forcément,
wife.
il est au courant.
Maybe, just maybe, Gideon is the most sought-after serial
Enfin, il est
killer
au
at
courant
large.
pour
A killer
le...
who's eluded the FBI for years and has baffled their most gifted
Pour le plagiat,
profilers.
c'est ça? Le
That
plagiat
serial
du...
killer?
du
None
tueur.
other than the Chesapeake Ripper.
Il a pas l'air
This
content.
would explain why the Ripper's been silent for more than 2 years.
Quelqu'un essaie de m'imiter? Je suis pas content.
So are you enjoying reading my mail?
No, not particularly.
Looking for something instructional? Diagrams? Don't believe I can recreate one of my own murders from memory?
You wouldn't be recreating them from your memory, Doctor. You're not the Chesapeake Ripper.
Oh, have to agree to disagree.
Then why the surgical trophies?
Agent Crawford, there are just some things you're not allowed to do in a state-certified operating room.
You didn't take any trophies when you murdered your wife and her family on Thanksgiving. You didn't put any of them on display. Why not?
Crime of passion. You know how stressful the holidays can get. Anyway, you didn't come here to talk about my wife or the little nursey.
Oh. What am I here to talk about?
Your trainee. Miriam somebody.
You're telling me you killed Miriam Lass?
Yes. Didn't mean to kill her. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad at you. I know where you are. I know how you got here. I read your file. I'm curious, why are you being so forthcoming all of a sudden?
Well, what have I got to lose? You know where I am, and you know how I got here.
Why didn't you put her on display?
What makes you think I didn't?
Ah, encore l'appel. Enfin, encore le... Oui, bah oui, c'est toujours Myriam. Il va encore recevoir l'appel. Ça, c'est quand même... Il aurait dû quand même avoir la puce à l'oreille. Parce que c'est tout le temps la même chose. Tout le temps le même appel.
Something wrong?
C'est pas bien là. Je crois que Myriam... je crois qu'elle est dans une... Elle est enfermée dans une citerne, en fait. Parce que je crois qu'on la retrouve à un épisode. Mais elle est enfermée dans une citerne. Je crois que c'est dans la saison 2. Je crois que c'est ça.
In my house. In my bedroom. Where my wife sleeps.
I've dusted the phone. Got a lot of usable prints. Nice detail, too. I got 3 distinct beauties here. Yours, your wife's, and presumably the Chesapeake Ripper.
I can't imagine the Chesapeake Ripper would start leaving prints at his crime scenes now.
The Ripper put his head on your wife's pillow.
And now somebody's sleeping in my bed.
There he is. Or there she is. Was Miriam Lass a blonde?
Yes.
I pulled her fingerprints from the VICAP database, Jack, and I got a match.
She's dead. She wasn't here.
Jack, did Miriam Lass know where you live?
If she wanted to know, she was smart enough to find out.
She could have told the Chesapeake Ripper before he killed her. Did you know you were sending her after him?
I sent her after information.
Whoever made that call thinks you were close to Miriam Lass and feel responsible for her death.
Don't you have classes today? Aren't you still in school?
Yes, sir. I thought this might be more important than exclusionary rules of search and seizure.
Is that what you thought?
I left a report here for you last night. I don't know if you got it.
I got it.
Did you read it?
Go back to class. You feeling frustrated, Lass? If so, you should start forming calluses. Some thick ones. Because frustration's gonna wear you thin.
C'est un test.
Could have at least read the report.
Un test.
I read it.
Your assessment? Sure.
My assessment is that instead of being here, you should be in a lecture hall boning up on good faith warrant exceptions. What you're proposing in your report breaks confidentiality laws. You know that. You shouldn't be so dismissive of what you're learning here.
If the Chesapeake Ripper is a surgeon, we should check medical records for all of the known victims. I knew we couldn't get a warrant if we didn't have something substantial.
It's one thing for a trainee to go poking around in private medical records without a warrant. Very different if the guru did it.
Better for a trainee to ask for forgiveness than an FBI agent to ask for permission?
In my experience.
Then I hope you forgive me for skipping class today.
If someone were using manipulative methods to subvert your sense of control, you may not realize it until those methods are pointed out to you.
Which may be a manipulative method in itself.
You were a model patient. You behaved yourself for 2 years.
Well, no opportunity to be naughty.
You could have been pushed.
Well, that would be unethical.
I can help you find out. But I need your trust to do that.
Oh, I trust you, Dr. Bloom.
To the Chesapeake Ripper.
Ah, une nouvelle scène de...
Dr. Gideon is going to provide us with a
Je vais
singular
dire
opportunity
une
to
nouvelle scène de
analyze
crime,
pure
mais
sociopath.
n'importe quoi. Une nouvelle scène de...
It is so rare to find one in captivity.
Ah, un nouveau repas. Qu'est-ce qu'il a préparé cette fois-ci?
Dinner is served.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Inspired by Auguste Escoffier, we are having langue d'agneau en papillote.
Une langue d'agneau en papillote.
Served with a sauce of duxelle and oyster mushrooms. Picked myself.
I don't think I've ever had tongue before.
Ouais.
It was a particularly chatty lamb.
It smells delicious.
The Romans used to kill flamingos just to eat their tongues.
Don't give me ideas. Your tongue is very feisty. And as this evening has already proven, it's nice to have an old friend for dinner.
Il invite qui il veut, hein, Hannibal. À sa table. Il invite qui il
Gideon
veut.
is the Chesapeake Ripper. Or he just thinks he is. Or he knows he isn't.
He is. He knows he is. So do I.
Did you discuss the Chesapeake Ripper's crimes with Dr. Gideon before he murdered the night nurse?
Mm-hmm. But I began to suspect what it was. Fearing he might be exposed may have spurred him into action.
Is it possible you inadvertently planted the suggestion in Gideon's mind that he was the Ripper?
I'm not suggesting coercive persuasion.
No, I said inadvertently.
Psychic driving is unethical.
But reasonable in certain circumstances.
What circumstances?
It may have been useful trying to remind Gideon he's the Chesapeake Ripper. Mm-hmm. If he repressed those memories. But he seems to have come to that awareness all by himself.
Bon, il y a quelques dialogues des fois que je ne comprends pas, mais faut vraiment rentrer dedans parce que des fois c'est compliqué à comprendre. Peut-être moi je suis pas assez intelligente.
Would you care to assist me with dessert? I love Northern grapes. Same color inside as outside. Peel it. And the flesh is also purple. Not like other grapes where flesh is white and color comes from the skin.
A grape with nothing to hide.
Were I in your position, I would have attempted psychic driving. Perhaps you already have. I promise. I'm much more forgiving of the unorthodox than Dr. Bloom.
C'est une mise en garde. Fais attention.
Shall we?
Il le met en garde parce que il veut pas qu'on fasse de mal à Will. Encore un appel.
The last call was made to Jack's cell from a disposable phone traced here. We're within 100 feet of here.
was Mary
Ah,
Mass
bah voilà,
looking
c'est
into?
cette fameuse
Medical
citerne
records. If the Ripper was a surgeon, she thought he might have treated one of his victims.
bah, on retrouve Myriam,
Traced her
justement.
steps.
The ones they could find. She made a jump somewhere.
Après,
They
c'est vraiment des vagues
make those
souvenirs,
jumps.
parce que
Yeah,
quand j'ai
evidence has to
regardé la
be
saison
there.
qu'une
Every
fois,
surgeon that came into contact with any of the Ripper victims has been thoroughly vetted or currently under
il y a des
observation.
choses qui sont
Including
encore
Dr.
floues.
Gideon? Dr. Gideon wasn't in my bedroom. Chesapeake Ripper was. Last call. Left something the others didn't. Phone number.
Ah, c'est ça. Le téléphone. Et je crois que le téléphone se retrouve dans une main, en fait. Dans une main d'un cadavre. Oh, j'arrête pas de bailler, ça m'énerve. C'est ça. Quinze appels, ah oui, quand même.
What would be the benefit of making you believe your trainee was alive?
Hope. The Ripper wanted to cloud my vision with hope.
It can sometimes be brave to allow yourself hope.
Not the false kind.
Don't give up hope for your wife. Not yet. She's lost hope, which means you can't.
I don't have any control over that.
Take control. I'm sorry about your wife, Jack. I truly am.
Et puis comme
I
c'est
believe
lui
the world
qui
is
l'a
a better
tué.
place with her in it. I'm sorry about your trainee.
Whatever the Ripper was doing, it worked. And I thought she was alive. For a moment, anyway. I actually let myself believe something that I knew was impossible.
Talk to me about her. What was her name?
My name is Miriam Lass. I'm with the FBI. I would show you my credentials, but I'm actually just a trainee.
Flashback.
Never just a trainee. An agent in training. Please, come in.
I was hoping to talk to you about a former patient. Not necessarily one of yours, but someone you may have come into contact with when you were practicing physician.
I haven't practiced medicine for some time, but fortunately for you, I have a very good memory. Please?
His name was Jeremy Olmsted.
Perhaps not so good a memory after all. I don't recall a patient with that name, but it sounds familiar.
Ah, je crois que elle se fait. Évidemment, il y a le coup du lapin, mais elle se fait avoir parce que je crois qu'elle a vu des dessins sur son bureau et effectivement ça lui a pas plu parce qu'il y a des preuves dessus. Donc, et faire le coup du lapin.
I was.
Your name is on the admissions log.
Let me think. You'll have to forgive me. I saw so many people in the ER, but not so many hunters.
It's been a long time since the accident, but I thought you may remember if anything was fishy with the arrow wound.
If it's the gentleman I'm thinking of, I vaguely remember a fellow hunter bringing him in, but I recall very little else.
Figured it was a long shot.
I did keep detailed journals during those days. If you like, I can get them for you. Maybe you'll find something helpful.
That would be great. If you don't mind.
Not at all. If you wait here, I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Il va monter, mais il va tout de suite redescendre. Hein. Attention, ma petite Myriam. Et regarde, mais faut pas trop fouiller non plus, hein. Et c'est là où elle va avoir des soupçons. Et la même procédure. Il fallait pas fouiller.
She's a very brave young woman.
C'était assez court, hein. Ah, j'ai pas vu le temps passer, hein. Bon, faudra que je fasse des coupures, du coup, sur la vidéo. Bon, bah, je coupe, je refais un épisode suivant. Je recoupe.